Coco Gauff claims victory. Thrilling All-American showdown against Jessica Pegula at the Wuhan Open. The Wuhan Tennis Center shimmered under the late autumn lights, the humid air thick with anticipation. Two Americans, Coco Gauff and Jessica Pegula, stood on opposite sides of net, mirrors of one another in ambition, yet worlds apart in energy. Pegula, the seasoned tactician, exuded calm control. Gauff, the fiery comet, burned with the recklessness of youth and hunger. For the Chinese fans filling the stands, it was a masterclass of athletic poetry. For American tennis, it was a generational moment. The mentor and the protege colliding in a battle that transcended age and rank. The scoreboard glowed. Final, Wuhan Open 2025. Gauff, 21 years old, already a U.S. Open champion and Olympic medalist, carried the weight of expectation. Pegula, 31, had been the quiet anchor of American consistency for years. One sought legacy, the other confirmation, the opening blaze. From the first rally, Gauff's legs were a blur. Her explosive first step carried her to every ball. Her forehand cracked like thunder in the Wuhan dusk. Pegula, steady and surgical, countered with precision, redirecting pace, forcing Gauff to think. At 2-2 in the first set, the match found rhythm, a rally of 42 strokes that ended with Gauff lunging, sliding, and striking a running backhand pass down the line. The crowd erupted. Pegula smiled wryly, mouthing "too good." Commentators whispered what many had begun to believe. Gauff was no longer the teenager with raw potential. She was now a fully realized champion, sculpted by pain, losses, and persistence. But Pegula, with her poker face calm, wasn't there to play the role of victim. She broke back immediately, exploiting Gauff's occasional impatience. At 5-5, the duel turned psychological. Pegula stretched the rallies, tugging at Gauff's emotional balance. Every miss drew a glance to her team box. Every winner came with a fist pump that shook the arena. Then came a moment that changed the tone. At 6-5, Gauff down break point. She saved it with a 121 miles per hour ace. The crowd gasped. The next point, she unleashed a cross-court backhand winner and sealed the set 7-5 with a roar that echoed across Wuhan. The teenager who once battled nerves had evolved into a warrior who thrived on chaos. Pegula's counterattack. If Gauff played with fire, Pegula countered with ice. The second set began like a chess game. Pegula slowed the tempo, took Gauff's rhythm hostage, and began painting corners with quiet cruelty. At 3-1, Gauff's frustration showed. She slapped a forehand long and barked at herself. Pegula, unbothered, continued to slice and redirect, mixing angles that forced Gauff wide off the court. It was vintage Pegula, tactical brilliance born of patience. By 5-2, the tide had turned completely. Gauff looked mortal again. Pegula, serene. With a routine hold, she took the second set 6-2, leveling the match. The arena buzzed, not in disappointment, but anticipation. The deciding set would determine not just the Wuhan champion, but perhaps the new queen of American tennis. The decider, fire versus ice. Both players retreated to their benches before the third set. Pegula closed her eyes, breathing deeply. Gauff, bouncing on her toes, mouthed the words of her mantra, 1 point, 1 fight. When they returned, the tension was electric. Gauff opened with a statement. A 40 love hold punctuated by a 110 miles per hour second serve winner. Pegula responded with an equally dominant game. They traded blows like boxers in the final round, each refusing to blink. At 3-3, came the rally that would live in highlights forever. Pegula sent Gauff corner to corner, probing for weakness. On the 12th shot, Pegula approached the net. Gauff chased down the volley, flicking a lob. Pegula leaped but barely reached it, and Gauff sprinted forward to finish with a forehand smash. She screamed, dropped to a knee, and pointed to her heart. Momentum had swung violently. The next game, Pegula faced triple break point. Gauff danced on the baseline. Fearless, she ripped a return that clipped the line. Break, 4-3. The crowd, neutral yet spellbound, began chanting "Go Gauff! Go Gauff!" The moment of truth. Pegula, ever the fighter, clawed back to 4-4, using guile and veteran grit. But Gauff wasn't to be denied. At 5-4, serving for the match, she tightened slightly, an errant double fault, a nervous glance at her team. But then came the final rally. 15 strokes of pure will. Pegula sent a looping topspin to Gauff's backhand. Gauff stepped in, struck early, and watched as the ball kissed the sideline. Game, set, match, Coco Gauff. 7-5, 2-6, 6-4. She fell to her knees, eyes closed, fists trembling. Pegula walked over, hugged her warmly, and whispered something lost to the roar of 15,000 fans. More than a title. For Coco Gauff, this wasn't just another WTA 1000 victory. It was a declaration that the torch had officially passed. Wuhan 2025 marked her third WTA 1000 crown, a statistic impressive enough, but it was the symbolism that mattered more. She had defeated not just a compatriot, but a mentor figure who once inspired her rise. In her post-match interview, Gauff's voice quivered with both gratitude and pride. Jess has been someone I've looked up to for years. Playing her in a final like this, it means everything. We both pushed each other to be better tonight. Pegula, ever gracious, echoed the sentiment. Coco's the future and the present. She earned this. I'm proud to be part of her journey. The crowd, still buzzing, gave both players a standing ovation. 2 American flags waved side by side under the Wuhan sky, a symbolic unity of generations, the evolution of a champion. To understand the gravity of this moment, one must look backward. Coco Gauff burst onto the scene at 15, defeating Venus Williams at Wimbledon 2019. Back then, she was a story of youthful promise. But promise can be a burden. Expectations, pressure, social media noise. It all threatened to drown her brilliance. Yet through it all, Gauff grew not just as an athlete, but as a voice of purpose. She used her platform for activism, education, and empowerment. Her defeats, especially those at the hands of more experienced opponents like Pegula, became fuel. Wuhan was not an accident. The closing scene. As the lights dimmed and fans drifted out, the court stood quiet again. The ghost of applause lingered, the line still marked by the footprints of 2 warriors. In those silent moments, the story of Wuhan 2025 crystallized, not as a match between 2 Americans, but as a celebration of what women's tennis represents today: power, grace, resilience, and unity. The cameras packed away, the broadcasters signed off, but somewhere in empty stands, a young girl practiced her swing, whispering like Coco. And so, the legacy continued. Epilogue, the heartbeat of a champion. Coco Gauff's Wuhan triumph was not the destination. It was a signpost on a greater journey. She embodies what the new era of sport looks like: multicultural, multidimensional, and emotionally authentic. She plays not for applause, but for impact. Not for trophies, but for transformation. When asked to summarize her victory in one word, she paused, smiled, and said, growth. Every win, every loss, every battle, it's all growth. And as Wuhan fades into memory, the world awaits her next stage, next city, next challenge, knowing that wherever Coco Gauff steps, history follows. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next time.